Hello everyone, this will be part 3 of the process of visiting the US, in which we actually crossed into the United States for the first time. I will talk about our border experience as well as our weekend in Seattle. We left on the public holiday of reconciliation and knew the border would be quite busy if we arrived too late. Unfortunately, we were preoccupied the previous evening and we only left our home at 7 AM in the morning. Luckily, we are within 30 minutes of the Blaine Peace Arch border crossing, and we soon arrived in a long lineup to get through. Arriving at the border, you will see signs indicating a Nexus lane and then all the other lanes for the common civilians like myself. You may apply for the Nexus program if you are a Canadian or US citizen that frequent the US-Canada border. A Canadian permanent resident may also apply for a Nexus permit, but only after about 3 years, at which time you will be eligible for a Canadian passport most likely. With the Nexus pass, they basically do in-depth screening and holders of the pass can rapidly cross the borders by scanning their cards. It is important to note that everyone in the vehicle should be a valid Nexus pass holder to make use of this service. But alas, we were in the long line consisting of 4 lanes on a beautiful but foggy morning. It took about an hour to reach the front of the line, and there's cameras all around as you approach the border patrol. The custom official was very friendly and he went through the typical questions, wanting to know the reason for your visit, how long you intend to stay and when you are coming back.
Good morning everyone.
Morning.
I made it safely to me, so that's great.
Good start.
LPR cards, alright, I'll go ahead and give these to y'all. If you will, though, just roll down that back window.
Sure.
Alright, hello other person, do you know them? Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So what's going on, y'all?
Going to Seattle for the weekend.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So when was the last time we all came down to the US? Has it been a while?
It's never been.
Oh, nice, first time, huh?
First time, yeah.
That is beautiful. So all we need to do is we need to get you stamps on the passports.
Sure.
And then you could be on your way to Seattle, okay?
Oh, fantastic.
Over there.
Okay.
Walk underneath the bridge, take this sticker, go inside, get new stamps, be on your way.
Thank you.
Going through the land border for the first time, you are required, in my case at least, to complete the I-94 form. This you can complete within 7 days of your border crossing. Once past the border officer, we were directed to the processing center. They indicate to you where you should go park, and you should leave your vehicle's window open as well as your keys on the dashboard while you go inside. In this way, while they're inside, the Department of Agriculture can have a look through your car and see if you don't have anything in there that shouldn't be in there.
Hello, if you'll just leave the driver window down,
Sure.
car unlocked, keys on the dash.
Got
It wasn't very busy inside and it only took about 10 minutes to get processed. Once approved, you can basically go in and out without having to go through the processing for about 5 months. Driving on the US side, I was very impressed with the US interstate we were on, with food and fuel stops every 10 to 15 minutes and double lanes at the minimum, opening to about 5 lanes as you get closer to the city center of Seattle. Also, remember to switch your car to miles per hour when you cross through the border, as all the signage in the US, of course, will be imperial. On the way to Seattle, we quickly stopped by an IHOP for a quick brunch. It's a good sized breakfast, and then we headed off into Seattle. We stayed in downtown Seattle, and as you get closer, the traffic picks up quite a bit. If it's within your price range, I would recommend staying in downtown Seattle, as this will limit the dependence on a vehicle during your stay, as parking can be very expensive. Remember that most of the times parking will not be included in your stay and can be $50 to $80 per day. I found a decent deal at the Sheraton Hotel and parking was included, although it was in a different building across the street. Overall, the hotel was nice, but there were certain things that were just lacking a bit. And these are things we consider quite standard at your average hotel in South Africa, or many other hotels across the world for that matter. For instance, the toilet rolls. They were only replaced upon request, and as for making up the beds, that could only be done at an additional cost. The towels, at least, were replaced free of charge, although I had to request this beforehand. Also, things like the complimentary water was only a single bottle, even though we were a family of 3. It's those little details that they were missing. But again, overall the stay was good. I would recommend trying to stay in the tower that has the pool at the top to avoid having to traverse the lobby on your way to the pool. We were only about 800 meters from the waterfront and Pike Place market, or roughly about 6 blocks. This is where most of your attractions are. Big Wheel, the Aquarium, Pikes Place Market, and some museums. Pike Place Market stretches over a couple of blocks and is full of shops selling all kinds of fresh produce, seafood, as well as flowers. The district also houses many small eateries and coffee shops in its narrow streets and is home to the very first Starbucks. We walked by and only took a picture, as the lineup just wasn't worth it for us. A nice touch is that they have the employee giving a history talk about Starbucks while they wait in line. You can also enjoy various street performers as you move through the shops. One of the attractions that caught my eye on Google Maps was the gum wall. It is an alley just off the side of the market, covered in gum, and it keeps on growing and changing as people contribute to the artwork. It's also a great spot for some colorful photos. By the waterfront there's a pier with restaurants, kids entertainment, and a large Ferris wheel, which we gave a shot. You do 3 full rotations and can enjoy some beautiful views of the coast and Seattle. An obvious landmark of Seattle is the famous Space Needle that was built for the World Fair around about the time the US headed for the moon. From where we stayed, it was about 2 blocks to the Monorail, which is a dedicated train service between downtown Seattle and Capitol Hill, where the Space Needle is located. We pre-booked our Space Needle tickets online, bundled with a visit to the Glass Museum. There are many eateries and an artist playground for the kids to enjoy. It took us a good 30 minutes from the time we passed through the gates until we reached the elevator that takes you to the top of the Space Needle. While you wait in line, you walk past a timeline of the construction of the Space Needle, as well as small scaled models as it was being constructed. Getting to the top of the Space Needle is a minute ride in the elevator with a perfectly timed narration on the way up. At the top you can explore the covered outer deck and enjoy panoramic views, or you can have a drink and a small snack at one of the many viewing tables. On the bottom deck you've got the revolving glass floor you can stand on if you dare, or go for an expensive but beautiful sit-down meal at the revolving restaurant. As with any attraction, you leave through the gift shop, where we bought a little mini Lego scaled version of the Space Needle. Following the Space Needle, we headed over to the Glass Museum. I didn't realize that Seattle was famous for glass artwork, but apparently they are, and the stunning glass artworks were quite a sight to behold. I just kept moving at a constant pace to prevent my 6-year-old becoming a bull in a china shop. A place we however did not visit at Capitol Hill was the Museum of Pop Culture, but next time I'm sure we will. On the final day we headed to the Aquarium. It was a bit of a letdown, to be honest, as it was very expensive, over $100 if you are not a local. I feel it offers less than the Vancouver Aquarium. For me, I would say the touch pool was probably the best feature there. We followed that by another walk through the Pike Place Market and then a walk out on Pier 14. It has some free activities you can make use of, such as cornback toss and soccer. So Seattle does get quite slopey, and if you want a fun and convenient way to zip around while there are electric scooters littering the sidewalks downtown, which you may use to quickly cover a couple of blocks. I just used a Lime scooter here to demonstrate, but there are many other companies also providing a similar service, all of them requiring an app to activate. And the good thing is you can park in just about anywhere. But it's not all sunshine and roses in Seattle. There is a very large homeless presence, and with that comes lots of open substance abuse, much like what you would see in East Hastings in Vancouver. I would say we never felt unsafe, but I would be wary late at night, if not in a larger group. I will definitely recommend going to Seattle. Then our time came to a close and we left at about 3 p.m. this Sunday, expecting long lines at the border after the long weekend. But this time round, it only took us 20 minutes to get across. We actually found this trip easier traffic-wise than visiting a place like Worcester that is closer to us and also in the same country, due to the heavy traffic getting out of Vancouver and the narrow and busy sea-to-sky highway. As seen from some of the clips in this video, we were also fortunate to get stunning autumn weather, as Seattle, just like Vancouver, get a lot of rain. The border crossing was a mere formality sanity this time. We were back home 25 minutes later to conclude a very enjoyable first trip to the United States. If you enjoyed this video and made it this far, please subscribe and give the video a like. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe and have a good one. Cheers.